Toronto is one of the most multicultural cities in the world. Take a walk down any major street and you'll hear people speaking languages from around the world. But is one of our founding languages dying? I'm Faiza Amin. Today we're exploring how French is faring here 2 decades after the Quebec Referendum. It was an ugly part of Canada's history, a vote that divided a nation and created political turmoil. The Quebec referendum would decide the fate of a province that's had a rocky relationship with the rest of the country.
Quebec had always been down there. For a long time it had a government that essentially turned its back on the rest of Canada. So this was quite a wake-up for the rest of Canada.
The numbers were close in the 1995 referendum, but ultimately the votes kept Quebec tied to the rest of Canada. On the streets of Toronto, a victory celebration broke out.
No means no! Parents, no! No means no!
The remnants of that ugly history became a reminder for Canada and Canadians to be more inclusive of Quebec.
It woke Canadians outside of Quebec up to the fact that Quebec was unhappy, that they felt that their culture was under attack, and a lot of people were very sympathetic.
Since the first referendum, the government responded to Quebec's claims of exclusion, making French language mandatory in our governments and schools. But is French still relevant in Canada today? In a nationwide survey commissioned by Rogers Media called the Canada Project, 78% of Canadians agreed that Canada should remain an officially bilingual country.
At the beginning in grade 5, it was hard to understand everything because the teachers wouldn't talk to you in English.
These first-generation French-speaking students at Blessed Sacrament Catholic School take their afternoon courses all in French.
If I was going to get a job and you needed to speak French, it would help me a lot from what I've learned in school to go from that job to get it.
The decision for me was because it would give me a lot of opportunities. Like, for example, in high school, there are a lot of extended French programs that I could go to.
Though the school's principal tells us only half of those students continue taking French in high school. The Ministry of Education says French immersion enrollment in Ontario went up by nearly 75% since 2003. And the latest numbers show Toronto's Catholic School Board has nearly 60,000 students enrolled in some sort of French programs, while the TDSB has nearly 109,000. The principal at Blessed Sacrament says there are challenges that come with running French programs.
Is finding qualified French teachers, and that's certainly not unique to Ontario.
With Toronto's multicultural scene, the school just recently began teaching Mandarin after school to primary school students.
It was popular, but it was also new, so we are anticipating an increase in enrollment with Mandarin.
You can watch all of our Decades of the Day stories on citynews.ca. Join us tomorrow as we look at the rights and fights of Canada's LGBTQ communities. At Nathan Phillips Square, I'm Faiza Amin for City News.